best friends. Who needs them? By the time you're 70 years old, you've had a lot of people come and go through your life. You've traveled a long and winding path to get where you are today. And there's a lot more road behind you than there is in front of you. And I'm going to speak from a woman's perspective when it comes to my experiences in life with having a best friend. And I think that women maybe are more likely to have a best friend than men are. I could be wrong. And for the audience, I'm guessing probably the majority of you watching me are women. If there are any gentlemen out there watching, I'd love it if you would chime in, give us your perspective, and maybe, even though I'm speaking from a woman's point of view, you might learn a little more about women than you knew before. Because I think a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about, not many people talk about. But before we dig in, get into the meat and potatoes of this subject, my name is Suzanne Harper. I want to welcome you to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you haven't been here, I'm talking about life at age 70. And what my credentials are is that I've lived it for 70 years. And I'm going to give you my takeaway from different experiences, different interactions with people, and, maybe it's something you can use in your own life to avoid some of the pitfalls. And if you have anything to add, I'd love it if you'd chime in and share your experience with us as well. I can relate back to my last best friend, put it that way, because after her, I decided no more. I have a spouse. He's my best friend. Before I had him, I had my mother. She was my best friend. Okay? And I don't think you can fill somebody's shoes just like that. Your mother, and if you're lucky, your mother will never betray you. Can't say that about all mothers because not everybody was as fortunate as me. Your spouse hopefully will never betray you, but a best friend will. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. You tell them too much about yourself. They know everything about you. And a couple things that I would never reveal to anybody now is anything about my relationship with my husband, anything about my financial situation, and really, and this is a big one, don't reveal your dreams. Okay? It's kind of sketchy with people. They act like they're your biggest cheerleader, but are they really? And when it comes to the dynamic of women friends, a lot of times they're not cheering you on. They're on the surface, they're cheering you on, but in their thoughts, they're going, oh no, she's never going to do it. She'll never make it. She'll never lose that 50 pounds. She'll never quit smoking. She'll never have her own business. She'll never find the right guy. She'll never get married. She'll never have her dream house. I could go on and on and on, okay? This is how I feel that women hold other women back in life. Something to think about. Now, my last best friend, I was probably in my mid-50s when she came to work at my workplace. And to be honest with you, my first reaction to her was I was repelled by her for some reason. Okay, and I think you have to pay attention to your first instincts about people, because there was just some vibe she was putting out that didn't kind of turn me off. Okay, as time went on, she reached out to me several times regarding, I was a shop steward. She had some issues. She had some questions. She reached out to me at home. She called me, and eventually she started calling me every day. And this is kind of how I fell into this groove of talking to her every day. Eventually it got comfortable enough that she knew everything about my family. I knew everything about her family. At the time, we were both single. We were both kind of dating. And we would talk about things like that. We talk about our relationships with men, um, just all kinds of things. Kind of like you talk to a sister, okay? But keep in mind that your friend is not your sister. There's a blood tie with a sibling that you're never going to have with a friend. So time went on. Phone friendship, our phone friendship continued on. Here comes my husband into my life. We weren't married then, but he comes into my life, and all of a sudden things started happening pretty fast. Um, we decided to buy a house together. We decided to get married, and boom, it was like a whirlwind. And this was in 2020, and we're still happily married today. It was probably the best move I ever made. And on the surface, she appeared very happy for me. But as time went on, I noticed that the conversation about, our new house plans, our wedding plans, got more and more strained. And I got the feeling from her, the distinct feeling that she wasn't really all that happy for me, because she was taking a look at where she was in her life, and a lot of the things that were going on in my life were what she wanted for herself. I never expected my life to go the way it did. I was always hoping that I could spend the last chapter with somebody, and it turned out that way, and I consider myself very fortunate. But had the shoe been on the other foot, I would have been just as happy for her. Well, finally, I noticed more and more I would be getting the voicemail when I'd call her. I'd be getting text messages back instead of return phone calls. And finally, one day, 10 days before my wedding, she pretty much ended our friendship with a text message. And she said she wasn't coming to my wedding, and she wished us the best. No one was more happier for us than she was. And that was it. Boom. Done. Okay, that was honest. And to be honest with you, I didn't care if she came to my wedding or not, to be honest with you. It was almost like the vibe she was putting out. I didn't need somebody like that in the vicinity of my wedding. As it turned out, I had people there wishing me well, wishing us well. And that's all you want on your wedding day. You don't want some kind of weird, trip, somebody with some kind of weird trip going on about you at your wedding. From that point on, I just realized that my husband was my best friend, and I don't need to confide things into anybody else. As I get older, I notice that people are kind of fickle in their friendships. I haven't really connected with anybody that I can relate to on a very deep level. I won't have a best friend again. I don't want a best friend, and I don't need one. And I think the lesson here is self-reliance. Sure, it's great to have somebody to bounce things off of in life, but ultimately you have to learn how to handle life on your own. I don't care what age you are, okay? But especially as you get older, if you can't handle life on your own, life will be handled for you. And I know you know what I mean by that. If you're 70 years old or older, keep making your own decisions. Keep following through on your own decisions, and don't surrender to someone else making decisions for you. Because once you do that, you're going to surrender everything. That's just the way it goes, okay? So at an earlier age, I wish I would have known I don't need to bounce everything off of somebody else. I would get my answers myself, okay? Now, if something comes up, sure, I'm going to bounce it off my husband. But ultimately, the answer comes to me. And the best time I get answers are when I wake up in the morning. if I've slept on something, if I went to sleep and there was some kind of issue or problem that was gnawing away at me, I'd have an answer in the morning. So, another bit of advice is when you don't know what to do nothing. Don't act on it. Okay? You have to put yourself in a very neutral state to receive the truth. Okay? The other thing is, I believe in living in a high vibration. And not everybody is living in the same vibe as you. Okay? And people can hold you down. So I've talked about being discerning with your friendships before. And at age 70 and above, you even need to be more discerning. So my last best friend was in my life for 14 years. Quite some time. I got a lot out of the friendship. She was a sounding board for me. She was somebody I talked to through losing my mother. I talked to her through losing her mother. People are put into your life at the right time, and people leave your life at the right time. What I mean by that is, let's face it, the dynamic between you and a best friend is likely to change once one of you gets married. You're not living that single life anymore. You're not in the same club. You're in the married club now. I never thought, there was much to that, but there really is something to it. So never regret any friendship or relationship that comes into your life. It's always there for a purpose. Okay, and that's it. That's what I wanted to say about best friends. If you have one and it's working out for you, more power to you. Treasure it. Okay? This is Suzanne Harper. I'll be back soon with more. Take care of yourself. Mwah. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.